Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with the Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing? Happy Saturday. I have missed you all. It has been a minute since I have done a video. As I told you guys in my last video, last Thursday we left very early in the morning, like 4 a.m. to drive to Oregon to spend 6 days with my family getting ready and celebrating my niece graduating from college. It was fantastic. All my brothers and sisters were there. All my nieces and nephews were there. I got to see my cousins and my grandma, my parents, extended family. It was absolutely amazing. However, it was a whirlwind. And when I got back, work was crazy busy. So I really actually haven't done anything bookish since last Tuesday, which is outrageous. So that's why I am so excited to be here today to share with you my June book haul. These are going to be all the books that have been sent to me by publishers over the last 30 days or so. On top of that, there are a couple of books that I purchased for myself that are in this pile as well. As I always say, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, because your TBR is about to explode. Pre-order these books from your independent bookstores or have your library pre-order them for you. Get those authors supported, knowing that you want to read their books when they come out. Are you guys ready? This is going to be quite a video because there's a big stack right there. But let's go ahead and get started with this book, and it's Tinfoil Butterfly by Rachel Eve Moulton. This is coming out from FSG's imprint MCD on September 10th, 2019. Now, all I will tell you about this is the blurb that sort of sold it for me is that it says that this is The Shining meets About a Boy. I think that could not be more intriguing. It's about a young woman and a boy who are sort of discovering and going through and tackling their demons in the frozen Black Hills. I think that is enough to get this on so many people's radar. I love this imprint from FSG. They just do so many amazing things. So they are quickly becoming one of my favorites. So this is Tinfoil Butterfly by Rachel Eve Moulton. And again, my camera is not doing any sort of justice to this fantastic cover. Do you see the children's eye right there? So good. Again, out from FSG MCD on September 10th, 2019. I need to thank all of the publishers for sending me these books. Thank you, blanket thank you in advance, just in case I forget to say thank you as we go along. The next book is actually one of 4 that were sent to me by the lovely people over at Harper. Absolutely adore them. They are so great to me. And the first one is The Glass Woman by Caroline Leah, L-E-A. The font's a little hard to read there, so you go. This is also out in September 2019. This is the story of a young woman. Let me see if I can get her name for you. Rosa, whose mother falls ill and her dad dies unexpectedly, so she winds up marrying a man, a trader, who takes her to the coast and puts her in a house that he owns, but he's not there very often. Now, he has expectations that she's going to be the perfect sort of obedient Christian wife, but his one rule is that she is not allowed into the attic of the house, and as you can imagine, mystery and whether or not she wants to find out what really is more about the man that she's actually married to and the decisions she's going to be making about her life. I think this sounds to me like something that's going to be a perfect summer read. Get your iced tea, go sit out in the sun, get an umbrella, put on your sunscreen, and just read and get involved in this mystery. I think it sounds pretty fantastic. So that's The Glass Woman by Caroline Leah, and this is again out from Harper in September 2019. Again, thank you, Harper, for the 4 books that I'm about to talk to you about. This is The Last Train to London by Meg Waite Clayton. And this is coming out also in September 2019 from Harper. And I have to tell you guys, if you are a World War II person, what do I always say about books about World War II? There have been a lot. So I am really looking for books that take a different perspective or introduce me to something about World War II that is different, interesting, and probably is going to break my heart, which I think The Last Train to London is absolutely going to do. This is actually a story, sort of a fictionalized story about the Kinder transport that carried so many children out of Nazi Europe to safety. And this is about one woman who helped them escape. And all of that sounds like it's going to be tragic and hopeful. And I read actually the first few pages of this. automatically sucked into the storytelling by Waite Clayton. I think that this is going to be, if you're fans of stuff maybe like, what was Anthony Doerr's book, What the Light We Cannot See? I cannot remember the title. Or maybe The Orphan Train, or maybe even Lilac Girls that came out. I think this is going to be a book that's really in that vein, so that you guys, if you like that kind of stuff, this may be a book you want to get on your TBR right now. So again, that's The Last Train to London by Waite Clayton. Again, out from Harper in September of 2019. This book I'm not going to say too much about because it is actually the third in a series, but this is The Golden Wolf by Linnea Harsuyker, and I'm not saying that right, I absolutely know. I love the covers to this series. Now the first name, I'm going to get the titles right so I do not mess up. You know how I don't want to make that mistake. I know you guys have all seen these in the bookstore. The first book was The Half-Drowned King, the second book was The Sea Queen, and the third book is going to be The Golden Wolf. This is a Nordic historical family saga. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to talk about all of the series, but if you are into a series which sort of has a historical fiction angle, it does have, I don't know why I use the word sort of there, and you are looking for something to sort of take you over a span, and maybe from a time period and or a region that we don't get a lot of books out for, please read the entire series. And this is out from Harper in August, but you already can read the first two. So if you haven't picked them up, definitely do that. But this is The Golden Wolf by Linnea Harsuyker. And I apologize, Linnea, if I'm saying either your first or your last name wrong. I really am trying. And yeah, I think that this sounds fantastic. Next, and certainly not least in the Harper books, is actually Gravity is the Thing by Jaclyn Moriarty. When I read about this book, I want to say I read about it in Publishers Weekly, and this was also being given out, I want to say, at Book Expo America. I was hooked. This is the story of Abigail Sorensen. About 20 years ago, her brother Robert disappears. Right after he disappears, she starts getting chapters in the mail of sort of this self-help book. And it's actually these chapters in this book really do get her through some really tough times in her life. I think it says on the back that she doesn't know who wrote it, it's anonymous, but it helps her and her family get over her brother's disappearance. And over moving across the continent. This is an Australian novel, by the way. It's set in Sydney, Australia. Her marriage is falling apart. She's newly single and a single mother on top of it. And then all of a sudden she gets an invitation to sort of come to an event to finally meet the person who put together the guidebook and learn the truth about it. And in her head, she thinks that the disappearance of her brother and the guidebook must be connected because of sort of how they came together at the same time. This is coming out in July from Harper. I think this is going to be a really, really great summer read. I'm super excited about it. And that is Gravity is the Thing by Jaclyn Moriarty. Again, thank you, Harper, for the 4 books that I just talked about. This is the only book on the list that I didn't specifically request, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit by reading the back. But the publisher sent it to me with a book that I did request. And this is The Fallen Architect by Charles Belfoure. This is out from Source Books Landmark. And I think this is coming out or just came out. I apologize. I don't know specifically. But this is the story of, let's just read the back. Someone has to take the blame. When the Britannia's theater balcony collapses, killing more than a dozen people, the fingers point at the architect. He should have known better. He should have made it safer, should have done something. Douglas Lawton knows the flaw wasn't in his design, but he can't fight a guilty verdict. When he finally is released from prison, he has nothing, no job, no family, nowhere to go. He needs to assume a new identity and rebuild his life. But as soon as he finds himself digging up the past in a way he never anticipated, if the collapse was not an accident, who caused it and why? And what if they find out who he used to be? So I think this is going to be a great sort of mystery. I like the idea of intertwining this architecture piece to it and a man who has to start over. Can't tell who he is, but wants to figure out why his life was ruined by this event. So this is, again, out from Source Books Landmark. This is The Fallen Architect by Charles Belfoure. And I believe it's out now. I apologize, I don't know specifically. Okay, this is the one I requested, and this book is coming out. Let me get you the date. July 9th, 2019, again by Sourcebooks, and that's The Last List of Miss Judith Kratt by Andrea Bobotis. This is the story of a woman, Judith, who has inherited all of the Kraft land and everything that goes with it. They are in a small town in South Carolina, Brown, where they used to be sort of a affluent family, but they've really hit on hard times. All of a sudden, Judith's younger sister, I want to say, comes back into town, and they start to sort of take stock of what is in the house where the family lived. And it starts a list of items. It also is sort of a flashback to a single night in 1929, where an event happened that changed things. So you're going to be flashing back to that while you also are learning about what this family has, what is their history. I actually think that sounds pretty fantastic. So that's The Last List of Miss Judith Kratt by Andrea Bobotis. And again, this comes out July 9th, I want to say. Just 1 second. July 9th, 2019 from Sourcebooks. Okay, we are halfway through, guys. Halfway through. This one is out from, and I don't know this publisher very well, but I remember reading something about it. And this is out from Foment in Burlington, Vermont. And this is a debut novel by Julie E. Justicz, Degrees of Difficulty. This story, from what I can tell, is the story of a family that is dealing with the fact that one of the children has a severe medical condition where he has severe life-threatening seizures, and the family can't find a facility that is willing to take him for long periods of time. So this is really about how that family is dealing with their utter love for this either sibling or son, but also sort of the complications that come with having someone in your family that suffers from something. You're not only dealing with the illness, but also the fact that there's this fear at any moment this person can be taken from you. So again, this is Degrees of Difficulty by Julie E. Justicz. This is out from Foment Books, and I apologize, and I don't know exactly when it's coming out. And this is, yeah, there you go. I will try to put some information down below. Okay. Actually, this book sounds so good. This is coming out from Crown, and this is Home for Erring and Outcast Girls by Julie Kibler, out from Crown. This comes out in July of 2019. I am struggling actually with the title, only and I don't use the word erring very often. So Home for Erring and Outcast Girls. Now this book takes place in 2 time periods. One, we are in 1903 in a little town outside of El Paso, Texas, I want to say. Arlington, Texas, on the outskirts of Arlington, Texas, where a home has been implemented for young girls who are trying to recover from things where society has sort of outcast them. Are they pregnant out of wedlock? Are they prostitutes? Are they things where they are looked at differently from a societal norm and they are judged? Well, this house is there for them. It's to help them find their faith, find their purpose, and also just get them on track and make them not have to separate from their children if they don't want to. At this house, 2 young women meet each other, a friendship ensues. And that is half of the book. The other half is about a young woman a century later who comes upon the graves of these 2 women and starts doing research and learns about them and learns about this house, and then also uses the information that she learns about this community for these young women to sort of come to terms with her own past and the own things that she and the decisions she has had to make. If I didn't sell that well enough for you, I apologize, because I feel, and Mammy, if you watch this video, this has you written all over it. I think that this is going to be a book that a lot of people are going to love. You know how I am about books about just support and love for people who are struggling and who need a little extra care, and also those flashback moments where we're learning about people but also learning about ourselves. So that's Home for Erring and Outcast Girls by Julie Kibler. Again, this is out in July 2019 from Crown Books. Thank you very much, Crown, for sending this to me. Okay, this is actually from a press. I want to say I learned about this from Kendra Winchester and Autumn Privet at the Reading Women, who teach me so much and introduce so many books to me. And this is Native Tongue by Suzette, Haden, Elgin, with a foreword by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, Jeff Vandermeer wrote a pretty popular sci-fi trilogy of his own, and actually, his last book was called Born, was it not? And this is actually a reissue. So these books have been published before, but the Feminist Press is reissuing all of them. I believe there are 10 entirely, eight entirely, and they all are going to have sort of this cool I really like these covers. So I'm going to read this a little bit about it to you guys because it's a sci-fi book, and you know I always struggle a little bit with my synopsis of this, but this came out right before The Handmaid's Tale. I think it says the year before, and it is a dystopian trilogy that is a testament to the power of a women's collective action. In 2205, the 19th Amendment has been repealed and men hold absolute power. The Earth's economy depends on the insular group of linguists who breed women to become interstellar translators until they are sent to the barren house to await death. But instead, these women are secretly creating a language of their own, Latin, to make resistance possible. Ignorant to this brewing revolution, Nazareth, a linguist, and McCauley, a servant, both seek emancipation in their own ways, but their personal rebellions risk exposing Latin and threaten the possibility of freedom from all. Now, Suzette Haden Lingwin was actually a pen name for Patricia Ann Wilkins, who passed away in 2015, and I think she was a linguist and an author. So I think that this is going to have a lot of that to it. I think the premise sounds fantastic. And if you are looking for sort of a science fiction series, 8 books already out, about to be republished, there you go. So I really want to thank Feminist Press for sending this to me. It comes out in July 2019. It's Native Tongue by Suzette Haden Elgin. And again, this is a reissue of a series that's already out. Your sci-fi, feminist, dystopian, for those of you that love that, just like me. Okay, this video is getting long. There's 4 books left. I'm hoping I can wrap it up, but I want to give each of these books their time as well. This book also comes out in July. This is The Wind That Lays Waste by Selva, Almada. This is translated from the Spanish by Chris Andrews, and this is coming out from Grey Wolf Press. I want to thank them very much. They take such good care of me over there at Grey Wolf. Absolutely love them. This is the story of a father who's a preacher and his young daughter, who are on a trip across Argentina countryside, sort of preaching the gospel. And one day they wind up at a homestead of a young father and his young son, and it's about the interaction of these 4 people, a man of faith with interacting with a man of total pragmatism, 2 young people from very different backgrounds and how they interchange. What I love about this is it says on the back, as tension between these characters ebbs and flows, beliefs are questioned and alliances are tested until finally the growing storm breaks over the plain. This is a debut novel, and I think it sounds really good. And that is The Wind That Lays Waste by Selva, Almada. This is translated from the Spanish by Chris Andrews, out in July from Grey Wolf Press. So cool. Okay, thank you, Grey Wolf. This is the last book that was sent to me by the publishers, and nicely enough, the author actually also signed this for me, so that's really exciting. And this is Temptation Rag by Elizabeth Hutchison Bernard, and this is out from, I want to make sure that I get the publisher's name right, Bella Epoch Publishing. And when I reached out to them, they were so kind to send this to me. This is the story of 2 young people. One is 17-year-old Mary Convery. She lives a very privileged life, but all she wants to be is a poet. She meets a young pianist who is classically trained, but really all he wants to do is revel in the fact of his title of King of Ragtime, a ragtime king of the world. I apologize. Mary struggles to find her voice as an artist, and years later, after they've had this romance, they're intertwined together, they come back together, and sort of at that time, at an older age, they start to really realize what their relationship is. The world of ragtime, it plays a huge part in this book. I love ragtime, love sort of the improvisation of it, sort of the fever of it, love all of that. So this is Temptation Rag by Elizabeth Hutchison Bernard. This is currently out by Belfoure Press. I knew that. You know how sometimes your brain just sort of goes blah? And I think this is going to be a fun. All of these books sound like they're going to be great summer reads, don't you think? So again, there you go. Out there, get it on your order list. Last but not least are two books that I have purchased myself. One I purchased sort of because my husband said, I think this is a book that would be good. And we were talking about books for Pride. And that is My Ex-Life by Stephen McCauley. This is out from Flatiron Books, bought at Barnes & Noble. Available, you can get it. Now, Stephen McCauley wrote the book, The Object of My Affection, which was a movie with Paul Rudd and Jennifer Aniston that I was obsessed with when I was younger. This is a little bit in the same vein, but I absolutely love the idea behind it. This is the story of a man whose life is sort of coming apart. His partner has left him, and he goes back and sort of rekindles his friendship with his high school best friend, a young woman. Well, she was a young woman, and goes to her Airbnb, and there's sort of everything comes together. It's sort of that trope of gay best friend with woman. What's the relationship? You know, all that kind of stuff. All that good stuff. All that good stuff. And so this is My Ex-Life by Stephen McCauley, and you can get that right now. The last book in this video is going to be a book that finally I just went and bought. Matthew Sciarappa raved about it. Then Jaclyn told me you have to read it. And it's by an Australian author. And I would pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. And it's a debut novel, and it is Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton, and this is also out by Harper, but I bought this one myself. This cover is just amazing to look at. This is the story of Eli. His father is disappeared, his mother is in jail, and unfortunately his stepdad deals heroin. And really the most sort of stable adult presence in his life is a felon or a convict who sort of holds this record for breaking out of prison the most amount of times. And Eli is really involved with his brother, I think his name is August, who is silent, but also known to be very, very brilliant, a genius, for lack of a better word. It says, exiled far from the rest of the world in Dara, a neglected suburb of Brisbane, this 12-year-old boy with this old soul and adult mind is just trying to follow his heart, learn what it takes to be a good man, and train for a glamorous career in journalism. Life, however, insists on throwing obstacles in Eli's path, most notably Titus Braz, Queensland's legendary drug dealer. Matthew Sciarappa said that after he read this book, it gave him hope in the debut novel again. I read a lot of debut novels that I absolutely love, but I think that is pretty solid praise. Matthew raves about it. Jaclyn raves about it. So I am super excited to read Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. So that was quite a stack of books. This turned into a 20-something minute video, but I hope you enjoyed your time with me. I've missed you guys. As always, I hope that all of these books have wound up on your TBR and you will tell me all about it. If you are a return subscriber, thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it. If this is your first video on my channel, welcome. I hope you like what you saw, and I hope you come back for more. As always, I wish you happy reading, and until next time, which will be tomorrow, I wish you happy reading, and I'll see you soon. Bye!